Maybe that means it's going to Facebook as well. We'll see. So look, we'll just wait another couple of minutes because sometimes people come in a little bit late. And it's nice if we all start together. So, just noticing if with your mind, are you waiting to be aware? That's very interesting. We're kind of waiting until the leader or the teacher says, oh, now turning your awareness to awareness of your body or whatever. But of course, every moment is an opportunity for awareness. Every single moment we can be aware. So while we're waiting for other people to come in, using that as an opportunity to drop into awareness of your body, checking your posture, checking you've got what you need. I'm just checking my scarf is looking nice on Zoom. Zoom mirror is always embarrassing. There we are, that looks better. And just checking that you're getting into the right kind of space for the meditation within yourself. So we've got Hilly. Hello all, I'm glad to rejoin after a while. I've missed you. And Kezi, hi everyone. I've not been here for a few weeks. Great to be back with you all and all on Facebook. Thanks to Vidyamala, Ollie, and the rest of the team. Good. Okay, I'm going to close the chat now, so I'm not looking at that. So I think we will begin now, and if people come in, they can just join us. So a really big welcome, everybody, and thanks for coming and practicing together. It's quite a highlight of my week, to be honest. I find it just very, very moving that here we've been coming together like this into this virtual space every Tuesday for 3 years, nearly 3 years, because it was the end of March 2020 when the pandemic struck. And that's when we had this idea that we'd love to be able to offer a place for meditation when we're all locked up in our homes. And then we just wanted to keep it going. And it's built, and there is a very strong sense of community and goodwill. So I love it. I really love coming here on Tuesdays and being with you all. So special welcome to anyone that's here for the first time. And we do try to make it exactly what it says on the tin, a space to breathe. So it's a space in your day where you can just switch off, stop doing activities and rest in the presence of everybody else, in your own body, in your own heart, with your own mind, and just see what arises. Now, of course, for some of us, that's going to include pain. Many of us here will have pain of one sort or another, because Breathworks, one of our specialties is mindfulness for pain and illness. So I also think it's a tremendous act of courage to show up like this and be willing to experience ourselves. So what we do is we also bring kindness, we bring care, we bring curiosity to our experience. And just imagine that you're sitting with someone that you really love, and how would you respond to them? And then turning that attitude back towards your own experience, responding to yourself the way you would naturally respond to a loved one. And I was wondering what practice to do tonight, and I thought we'd do the 5 B's of the breath again. So I do this every now and then. And this is kind of visiting particular parts of the body that are particularly involved in breathing. Very often we think breathing is just happening here in the chest or maybe in the ribs. But the breathing is potentially and ideally a whole body experience. And if we can soften these particular areas that I'm calling the 5 B's, then we'll drop deeper in the body. And what it also does is regulates our nervous system. So it brings online the calming side of the nervous system, and it dials down, dials back the revved up, sort of stressy side of the nervous system. So the 5 B's are the bottom, the buttocks or the bum, depending on which one of those those labels you want. But it's down at the base of the torso, the buttocks, the bum, the bottom. It's the first B, having soft buttocks. And then there's the belly, letting the soft front of the body be soft, the area between the pelvis at the bottom and the ribs at the top. If we can let that part of the body be soft. And then there's the back of the body. If we can allow breathing to have its natural expression in the back of the body. We often think of breathing happening in the front of the body, but if you think about it, your ribs and your lungs are as much in the back as the front. It's very interesting, isn't it? If you say to someone, where do you feel you're breathing? They might say here, quite commonly, but they don't say here, but they could just as easily say here. But I think one of the reasons why we ignore breathing in the back of the body habitually is because we can't see it. Our sensing organs are all facing forward, so we're more oriented to what's in front of us. But dropping into the back of the body can be very, very calming. So we'll investigate back breathing. And then the fourth B is the back of the throat. So if you make this noise, so that's the area, the back of the throat, around the glottis. If we can let that area be soft, so relax the jaw, relax the tongue. And we just imagine that the wind of the breath is pouring through that area at the back of the throat on the way in to the body and on the way out of the body. And many of us are quite blocked here. You know, we might not have clenched teeth completely, but there's a kind of gripping in this area. And if I do that now, if I tense in that area, my voice changes and it becomes more nasal and it goes higher. And when I do that, my whole body's frozen. It's very interesting that when I constrict here, my whole body goes a bit rigid. And if I allow this part of my body to be soft, I can feel everything dropping down and relaxing my bum and allowing the body to be much more open and fluid. And then the fifth B of the breath is the brain. Really, really interesting that maybe we don't really think about our brain, but the brain is a big squishy organ, something like 75-80% water. It's not rigid. When it's full of thoughts, it can feel very dry and rigid and solid, but it's this squidgy organ and it's resting in a cradle of bones and tissues, and they are participating in breathing. So you won't feel this, it's very, very subtle, but you can get a sense in a meditation of the brain softening and the brain resting, and then the brain just being a little bit rocked and cradled by breathing. And that can also be deeply, deeply soothing. Okay, so you don't need to remember any of that. I'm going to lead the meditation and you just follow along as best you can. If you get completely lost, which happens to most people when we meditate, when you notice you're lost, you're succeeding in the practice. So when you notice you're lost and you're thinking about dinner or rehearsing an argument or worrying about your work, whatever it might be, when you notice, oh, I'm thinking about my dinner, I'm thinking about my work, in that moment you're mindful because you know what the mind is doing. So rather than thinking, oh no, I've got lost, you think, wow, I'm aware that I'm lost. That is brilliant. And then you just choose to come back inside the body, inside breathing, and follow along with the guidance. Okay, so let's begin by choosing our position. You can do it lying down, you can do it sitting, it's completely up to you. The main thing is to be as relaxed as possible and yet alert. And the other thing is to be very conscious about the position that we choose. We don't just kind of slump, think, well, that'll do. If I try and meditate like this, it's very, very uncomfortable. And my chest is a bit collapsed in, and it wouldn't be a very enjoyable experience. But if I get my bottom back into the chair, I let my chest open, I immediately feel brighter. My experience has changed. Good. And then closing the eyes if you want to, or else you can lower your gaze. Excuse me. And beginning to settle, beginning to arrive. Allowing the weight of the body to rest down into the chair or the bed. If we're sitting, letting the feet rest down into the floor. If we're lying down, allowing our weight to rest down through the whole back of the body, the back of the head, the legs, the arms. So if we're lying down, we can have the arms at the sides of the body, palms facing upwards, or else we can have them resting on the body, palms facing downwards, just whatever's most comfortable at this time. And if we're sitting, we can have the hands resting in the lap or on the legs. Again, whatever's most comfortable. The main thing is we let go of holding on in the arms and the hands, but we just let them rest and yield, be held by whatever it is that they're resting upon. If you want to, you could take some deeper in-breaths, and then on each out-breath, release, arrive, settle a little bit more. And then allowing your breathing to find its own natural rhythm. And beginning to rest our awareness inside the natural breath inside the body. So getting a general sense to start. If at any point it becomes disturbing to be aware of breathing, then of course it's fine to shift awareness into a place of stability, maybe the hands or the feet, the buttocks. And then edging back towards breathing if and when you feel ready. Go a few lines from the poet Hafiz, wonderful Sufi poet. Awake, my dear, be kind to your sleeping heart. Take it out to the vast fields of light and let it breathe. Awake, my dear, be kind to your sleeping heart. Take it out to the vast fields of light and let it breathe. So having a general sense of the whole body as we settle, feeling the weight of the body resting, being supported by the chair, the bed, or the floor. Quality of opening on the in-breath and then yielding and releasing with each out-breath. And being aware of sensations in the body. If we've got any unpleasant sensations, pain or discomfort of any sort, then noticing if we're resisting them, if we're pushing away, if we're contracting. And in the noticing, perhaps we can soften a little bit, including these sensations in our kindly, gentle field of awareness. So we're not shutting anything out, we're welcoming everything into the practice with kindness. Maybe there's pleasant sensations in the body, warmth, softness somewhere perhaps. Letting that in as well. And how's your emotional weather? How are you feeling? Letting this in as well. Maybe you don't really know what you're feeling, that's fine. Just letting in the not knowing into awareness. Now let's drop deeper into our experience and include the 5 Bs of the breath. And then we'll broaden out to whole body breath awareness. To start with, let's allow our awareness to gather inside the buttocks, the bum, the bottom, the base of the torso. And let's see if we can allow this part of the body to be soft. If we're sitting, imagine that the buttocks are resting into the chair rather than perching on top. Likewise, if we're lying down, resting into the bed. Quality of release, softness, rest. And as we do this, we might notice that the breathing quite naturally drops a little deeper in the body. Coming to the belly, soft front of the body between the pelvis at the bottom, the base of the ribs at the top. Allowing it to swell a little bit on the in-breath, subside a little bit on the out-breath. Being careful not to force or strain. There's a quality of opening on the in-breath and then yielding, releasing, letting go on the out-breath. including the chest area, ribs, expanding, subsiding, lungs filling and emptying, the breastbone rising and falling. Seeing if we can feel inside that experience rather than thinking about it as an abstraction. We're resting our awareness inside the felt experience in the body, in the chest. And allowing our awareness now to rest inside the back of the body. So first of all, let's drop our awareness right down into the buttocks again, checking that they're still yielding and resting into the support beneath them. And then allowing our awareness to fill the lower back. And being curious if there's any movement and sensations of breathing in this area. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Just being curious. Sometimes we can feel a kind of broadening on the in-breath, subsiding on the out-breath in the lower back, or maybe the angle's changing a little bit on the in-breath and the out-breath. The middle back, and the upper back, the back of the ribs, the back of the lungs, the spine, the shoulder blades, all being rocked and cradled by the natural breath. Effortless, receptive, not forcing or straining. And being aware of the whole back altogether, the whole length, the whole breadth, resting inside the whole landscape of the back of the body, being breathed. Broadening and opening on the in-breath, subsiding, releasing on the out-breath. Now allowing our awareness to flow up inside the body and to come to rest at the back of the throat. The area we identified earlier when we made the noise. Back of the mouth, around the glottis. Letting the tongue be soft, the jaw soft, and seeing if we can allow the wind of the breath to flow freely through the back of the mouth on the way in and out of the body. And now let's imagine the brain resting inside the head, squidgy and soft and watery. In this fluid, soft environment. It is an echo of the rhythm of breathing. Sometimes the head can feel a long way away from the body, full of thoughts. But let's experience the head as a limb of the body. So feeling into the physicality of the head, it's part of the body. So now let's broaden to be aware of the whole body. The 5 B's of the breath, the buttocks and the belly and the back. Base of the skull and the brain. Excuse me. And now let's imagine breathing. Excuse me. Let's imagine breathing is now pouring down through the shoulders. This rhythm, this flow all the way to the tips of the fingers. Pouring down through the hips all the way down to the toes. So the whole body is opening a little bit in all directions on the in-breath. Subsiding a little bit in all directions on the out-breath. If you've got pain or discomfort, allowing it to be rocked and cradled by this gentle rhythm of breathing. And now let's take this quality of awareness into tiny movements. So maybe moving the fingers and the toes a little bit, but seeing if we can keep the breathing soft and fluid. Very often, as soon as we move, we grip, we resist, we tense. But what's it like to keep the breathing soft as we begin to move? And then coming into bigger movements in your own time, however you want to move. Opening the eyes if you have them closed. And bringing the practice to a close. Just for those of you who are here for the first time, you can just slip away quiet if you'd like to. But I always stay on for a bit, and people write in the chat box what they experienced, what they noticed. And then I read that out, and it's nice just to have that little bit of sharing at the end. And Ollie, who's our wonderful tech support person, he's going to post a link in the chat box for a donation. So we offer these sessions for free, but of course, as you can imagine, there's a lot of work that goes on to not only run these sessions, but this is part of our online community hub at Breathworks, and we've got lots and lots of different groups and events, and it costs about £30,000 a year to run. So any donation is always very welcome. So there's the link there. Good. So if anyone wants to write anything in the chat box, then please feel free. And yeah, thanks again very much for coming and practicing together. So Leslie, gorgeously relaxing poetry. Thank you for reading it to us. Yeah, it's really beautiful, that poem, isn't it? And then Lizzie, thank you for a very relaxing session. My pain has reduced considerably. It's so interesting, isn't it? Because pain can seem a kind of fixed experience, but when we begin to really soften the body, we realize how it's a perception, and that perception can really change a lot by softening in this kind of way. And then Gail, thank you, so lovely to sink into practice. And Eileen, I love this space to breathe and love the 5 Bs. Thank you for sharing the space. Karen, thanks so much for this. Feel calmer and more grounded. And Louise, a very peaceful and connecting session. The idea of awareness of breathing in the back of the lungs is surprisingly calming, considering it's where I have my worst pain. Thank you. It's so interesting, isn't it? Got the pain, but just breathing in can ease the pain. Yeah, wonderful. And Helen, much appreciated warming space, breathing together. And Jocelyn, definitely feeling calmer than I was before the session. Lovely and beautiful words of poetry. Many thanks. And Sarah, thank you for the guidance. I found my breath so nourishing in a very soothing and calming way. Excuse me, I've got a frog that's taken up residence somewhere in there. And Dorota, it was a relaxing and calming practice for me. First time lying and I didn't fall asleep. Success. Yes. I like the 5 Bs technique. My mind was drifting back to each bee every time it drifted away. Thank you very much, Vidyamala. And Claire, thank you so much, Vidyamala. I really needed that, full of gratitude. And then Marion, my emotional weather. I don't know if I've done that well. Lots of A's and a GH. Anxious, asking, then letting go. Hopeful. Oh, that's brilliant. Anxious, asking, then letting go. Hopeful, a space to be and breathe. Thank you all, Marion. It's beautiful. And Stephen, thank you for a great practice. My lower back feels a lot better. Good to experience the 5 Bs. And Alison, I noticed how I experienced a sense of wow and real pleasure when I felt different parts of my body breathing rather than just my belly. Really uplifting. Thank you. Meg, thank you for a lovely calming practice. So good. So good just to breathe. Thank you, Ollie. You're a star. Odette, I like the 5 Bs. I feel there is a sixth B, being, as a result. Yeah, very good. Very, very good. 6 B of being. Maria, I realized I was bracing against the pain. This practice helped release a little. And Dorian, thank you so much for relieving some pain and grieving. Very relaxing. Very grateful to be with you all. Good, wonderful. So let's leave it there. And thank you all so much for coming. See you next week, as always. Hope you have a good week. Oh, we've got a couple more comments now. Susan, thank you. I was able to relax. And Kelly, while my heart was delightedly out and breathing, a mentally ill person walked by screaming at whatever he was dealing with. My heart hugged him and followed him a few yards down the street. It wasn't at all disturbing, just a part of all life and responding with love as my body, wallowing in light. Yeah, it's beautiful, because very often we can, that kind of thing, someone else being disturbed or upset, we can flinch away from that. But if we just keep breathing, it's life. And beautiful, Kelly. And Dorota, thank you, Ollie, as well. Have a good evening, all. Good, so let's leave it there. And thank you so much, Ollie. Thank you, everybody. If you want to unmute to say goodbye, that's always nice. And see you next week.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Vidyamala.
Thank you. Bye, all.
Good to see everyone. Namaste.
Have a nice evening. Good night. Bye.
Bye. Wonderful, wonderful.
Well done with the frog.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you. Bye.